Hello everyone and welcome back to another album review. In this video I'm going to review Honestly Nevermind by Drake. So we have a surprise release from Drake over here, almost 1 year after the release of the embarrassing Certified Lover Boy, an album that I would easily consider to be one of the worst of the previous year, and definitely Drake stepping on a new low with this particular release. Now to be honest, I never really liked Drake's music. Even when it comes to some of his older works, I never really managed to find the appeal of Drake, but still what he did in the past is not as awful in comparison to what we're listening now with whatever the hell all of those new albums are. And it seems that Honestly Nevermind just keeps the streak with embarrassing and awful albums from Drake. Here's the thing though, there's something quite interesting about this particular release, as we're not talking about your average Drake project. In this one he goes into a house direction out of nowhere, and honestly I was kinda looking forward to see what he would do with this direction. I wasn't expecting much out of it, obviously. I was not expecting like a really good album in this particular sound, but I still was curious about the results. I can safely say that if you don't have experience with house music, do not let this album be your introduction, as I cannot really think a worse spot to start with house music. What it feels like is that we have a few Drake verses and singing parts that sound like demo material with very minimal bland and simplistic beats attached to them, with also very poor demo-like quality. And one thing that I can say is that at least Certified Lover Boy had some okay production. It was mediocre, but at least it had some okay moments. In this case over here, it feels kinda bewildering. We're talking about Drake over here, and he can't manage to have better beats than this. The mixing over here is garbage, not only for the instrumentals but for the vocals as well. Honestly, when it comes to the tracks Falling Back and Text Go Green, I actually find those two instrumentals to be kinda decent. I like what they were going for. There were two major issues with those particular songs though. First of all, the mixing is garbage. I really cannot get how the instrumentals are so quiet and bland and feel lifeless, and yet they manage to even be distorted at some parts to sound like they're clipping. I don't know what's with this particular mixing, and the vocals are poorly mixed as well, as they're so upfront. Apart from the singing and the auto-tune vocals that don't really sound all that great, why are they so loud into the mix? The overall sound is really bad. And also the second big issue I have with those two songs, why are they so long? Why do they drag out for such a long period of time? If you're not gonna include anything else into those two particular songs, why do you make them this long? These tracks go for 4.5 and 5 minutes long, and the problem is that they get quickly repetitive. It is the same thing over and over again. They get quickly one-dimensional, and you're already bored at the third minute or like halfway to the song. You're like, this is enough, and yet they still keep going, and it's the same thing over and over again. Even when it comes to some of the vocal inflections, some of the vocal parts, it's the same thing. So yeah, for me, those two particular songs actually had a little bit of potential, as I kinda liked the instrumentals and the melodies behind them, but the mixing, the vocals, and the length really drag them down. So after this point, we have a few shorter moments. So at least hopefully we get something that isn't that repetitive and that boring. But we get even worse moments over here, like the track Currents. What is with this squeaky bed sound? Like seriously, what's with the sound choices over here? Who thought that this was a good idea? This is a laughably embarrassing song. Like, I cannot believe that this is a Drake song. Like, I don't have high expectations, but this is below the bar. This sounds awful. It is just laughable. It really seems like Drake running out of ideas. Once again, really poor mixing, really repetitive song, and some of the worst sound choices I've ever heard in a song this year. The track A Keeper is just a mind-numbingly boring song. Super bland, super forgettable, really nothing special about this track whatsoever. Then we have Calling My Name, a really short moment over here going just for 2 minutes, and it starts like in a really poor way. It's really minimal with not really something going on to it, but then for some reason we get this interruption with this sample which then transitions to a house portion, and it's just out of nowhere. It makes no sense, it's just an awful transition. The house beat sounds really poor and really minimal for no reason. There could have been definitely more to it, and we also get some of the most laughable lyrics over here. The track Stick is the one where we get a bit of a different direction when it comes to the delivery of Drake, as this is the one moment in the album so far where we don't get those whiny R&B style auto-tune vocals that in my opinion don't really fit Drake's style, they never did. So I believe that this is just a bearable moment. The beat is once again like really repetitive and there's not really that much going on to this song, but at least it's not unbearable. Finally, with the track Massive is where I actually believe that we get a pretty decent moment over here. We get a house beat that actually sounds kinda solid, though once again the production is pretty bad and we have the vocals being really upfront, and it's another lengthy song. It goes for 5.5 minutes and it doesn't really need to. It's a track that could have just been 3 minutes and it would have been okay. But at least I would say it has the most standout beat. It is just a pretty fine beat in what it does. It has some nice summer tropical vibes, and so this makes it kind of a bearable house track, but it doesn't really say all that much. I'd say that Flights Booked is another track that has kind of a decent beat as well, but once again a really lengthy song that doesn't really have that much to it. It's pretty repetitive and it's just really bland and forgettable. Then I believe that we get some other pretty poorly done moments with tracks like Overdrive, which once again very loud vocals and really poor mixing. It's just a really bland beat and it has those moments where it's clipping and it sounds pretty annoying. We also have the track Downhill, which does a pretty poor attempt on being like a tropical summer hit or something. It has those percussions that feels more of like a poor attempt to create a soundtrack from a 90s game in a jungle level. It doesn't really sound all that good. Then there's the track Tie That Binds, which I believe that as a song it's pretty okay in some respects. When it comes to the beat and the vocals, it's still bad, but it's definitely not one of the worst moments. However, we get this acoustic guitar solo that is just so out of nowhere. It doesn't fit and it also sounds really bad. Then there's the track Liability. It's the first sort of trap and actual R&B moment, and really, what's with the song? This is one of the worst Drake songs. It has a really minimal, poorly mixed beat that it's just the same thing for 4 minutes straight. And what's with those vocals? Why are they so pitched down? Why does it sound like a slowed down version of a demo Drake song? This is just really poorly made. I don't know how this one ended up making the cut. This is just a really bad song. And finally we get what is arguably the best moment over here, without a doubt, Jimmy Cooks, the one and only proper trap song over here, and it's actually a pretty decent trap song. It is kind of a banger. I mean, Drake doesn't really do all that much with his delivery, but we get some proper rapping over here, and we also have a nice beat switch towards the second half, with 21 Savage making a pretty good job in his verse. So I believe that it kinda says something that the best verse out of the entire album is not from Drake himself, it's from the one and only feature of 21 Savage. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. No final verdict, no ending remarks, no nothing. I'm just gonna say that this is an awful album. I'm gonna give honestly Nevermind a 3- out of 10. What's your opinion on this album? Like it, dislike it, why, and what do you want me to review next time? Let me know down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.